Okay, picture this. The Maryutiya Canal in Giza. The air there, it's often heavy, that smell of still water, weeds.
Yeah, stagnant.
Exactly. But on this one particular morning, something else hung in the air.
Yeah.
Something sharp almost, synthetic, but underneath, something else, something deeply wrong.
And that's when the farmer saw it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Working near the bank, spots this lump. Dark, wet, partly burned, fused almost. It was a human foot.
Just horrific. And that single discovery, well, triggers everything else, right? A full search kicks off immediately because this wasn't just some random bit of trash. It was clearly evidence, calculated violence.
And they find the rest nearby.
Yeah.
Cut up, 4 pieces, completely disfigured. The killer, whoever it was, they clearly wanted to erase her. Utterly.
But they slipped up massively.
He did, because when the divers went in, pulling out the lower half of the body from that murky water, she was still wearing clothes, a pair of cheap shorts, and inside the pocket, just tucked away, a tiny piece of plastic damaged by the water, a mobile phone SIM card.
Wow, that single tiny thing.
That was the thread. That SIM card pulled investigators straight out of the canal and directly into the life of a man named Munir.
And that's where this deep dive really takes us, into Munir's story. A man whose life seems so stable, but then it just dissolved. Not because of some outside force, but because of what our sources call a blind passion.
Yeah.
So we're going to trace how that happened, how this self-inflicted catastrophe unfolded. We'll look at the pressures, cultural honor, money, this total delusion, and how they all tangled together, how devotion twisted into, well, savage revenge.
For you listening, the real focus here is trying to understand the psychology behind it all. How does that kind of collapse even happen?
Right.
So let's back up. Who was Munir before all this? Before the obsession took hold?
Well, by all accounts, he was the picture of stability. Successful guy, worked in reinforcing steel in Kurdasa, married, 4 kids.
And crucially, a Saidi man from Upper Egypt. That background, it comes with a really strong cultural code, doesn't it? Honor, tradition, very important.
Paramount, absolutely. And his life seemed built on that foundation. His wife, she was responsible, handled the home, the kids. He traveled a lot for work, good money, and she had his complete trust.
Total trust. But that workload, the family responsibilities, it eventually opened up this small, almost imperceptible crack.
A dangerous one, though. It was emotional, wasn't it?
Yeah. His wife, probably just overwhelmed, she started, maybe unintentionally, neglecting what the sources call his legitimate needs.
And for a Saidi man, like you said, valuing honor and discretion above almost everything, that kind of frustration, that's a huge internal conflict. It's something you just don't talk about.
But he did, which is fascinating. Like you said, his frustration got so bad, he actually broke that code, started confiding in friends about this private domestic issue.
And that deviation, that little break from protocol, it tells you something, doesn't it? It shows he was already desperate, maybe feeling vulnerable, psychologically open to, well, suggestion. And
suggestion is exactly what he got. One of those friends offered a solution, a truly terrible one. Suggested Munir visit a, let's call it a suspicious apartment.
Right, a place connected to the sex trade, basically.
He went. And that's where he met Rehab.
And she gave him the story, the standard one, really, but compelling if you're primed to hear it.
The victim's story. Hardship forced her into this life, this squalid field, as they put it. She just longed for a way out, a clean slate.
And Munir, he didn't just feel sorry for her. He was completely captivated. That frustration he'd been feeling, it just morphed instantly into this intense infatuation, love even.
It went beyond love, though, didn't it? The sources call it worship.
Worship.
He was consumed. He saw only the victim she claimed to be.
Totally consumed, so much so he offered marriage right then and there.
Wow. But with one absolute condition, she had to cut all ties instantly, leave that life behind completely, and rehab.
She agreed immediately. Of course she did. She saw his earning potential, sure, but more than that, she saw his total devotion. She knew right from the start she had him. She had all the leverage.
So, early 2011, the secret marriage happens. He doesn't tell his first wife, doesn't tell kids, doesn't even tell Rehab's family. No one knows. He gets a new apartment far away, and the excuse for his first family, the usual one, extensive work travel.
Justly.
And they bought it.
Completely. Years of trust built up. Why would they doubt him?
Right. And he poured money into this new life, didn't he? All new furniture for Rehab, trying to build this clean slate for her.
Exactly. Living out the fantasy he wanted to believe in. But that fantasy, well, it had a very short expiration date. About 2 months, maybe.
Yeah, it didn't take long for reality to intrude. Rehab's old contacts, her associates, clients, they started showing up again.
Putting pressure on her, reminding her how much money she was leaving on the table, big daily income she was missing out on.
So Munir confronts her, reminds her of the promise, the deal they made, cut off the squalid relationships.
But Rehab wasn't backing down. She wasn't really sorry. You get the sense she was testing him, pushing the boundaries, seeing how far his blind passion would let her go. She knew that love was her collateral.
She knew he was hooked. So she moves from just testing the waters to, well, proposing something quite extreme.
The ultimate scheme, really. She suggested he turn their apartment into a brothel. Can you imagine?
Incredible. What was her logic?
The marriage was the perfect cover. She could just claim any men visiting were, quote, friends of her husband.
Unbelievable. And Munir.
He refused. Repeatedly. He still had some shred of that Saidi honor left, it seems. He wouldn't cross that line.
Okay, so Rehab changes tactics again. Needs to keep control, needs the money.
Exactly. So she suggests they leave Egypt altogether, move to Sudan. Her pitch. The distance would force her to change. She could go back to her old skill, cooking maybe, a genuine fresh start, far away from temptation.
And Munir, still desperate for the fantasy to be real.
He jumps at it instantly, sells everything. All that new furniture he just bought, gone. Liquidated to fund the move.
And tells his first family. What? Other lie.
Another lie, a good job opportunity abroad. Promises he'll send for them later. He's not just spending money now, he's burning his bridges, liquidating his entire future based on her word.
So they go to Sudan. For how long?
A year and a half. In that whole time, his worst fears are just confirmed. She keeps up the suspicious relationships, even there.
So the change of scenery didn't work. Shocking.
Not at all. And Munir, he's just spiraling, stressed, obsessed, losing focus on his actual work. And Rehab, she takes control of the money, confiscates his earnings.
Meaning nothing goes back home to his first wife and kids.
Nothing. The financial pressure, the emotional toll, it's all building. It's become this ticking bomb.
And eventually it has to explode. Early 2013, right?
Yeah. Munir finally puts his foot down. For the first time, really asserts himself. Says they're going back to Egypt. Rehab objects strongly, but he insists.
So they return, but things don't get better, do they? They get worse. Much worse.
Immediately worse. Upon returning, Rehab sets a trap. A really definitive one. Asks Munir to visit her family in Mbaba.
An ambush.
Completely. He walks in and he's surrounded by her relatives. And they demand he sign documents. 2 very specific, very damaging financial documents.
Okay, let's pause here because these documents are critical. What were they?
First, promissory notes for 400,000 Egyptian pounds.
Which is, I mean, for a skilled worker like him, that's a huge amount of money, right? Years of earnings.
Several years, easily. And second, something called an IEMA. It's basically a detailed dowry list of contracts, also valued at 400,000 EGP.
So 800,000 pounds total. This wasn't just about marriage. This was about financial control, legal leverage.
Exactly. Securing her rights, yes, but more importantly, securing his liability. And Munir, still drowning in that obsession, that destructive passion.
He signed them.
He signed everything, legally bound himself to potential ruin for a woman who is actively betraying him.
And only after signing that, after basically handing her the keys to his financial destruction, then he tells his first family about the second marriage.
That's right. The timing is just brutal.
So they set up house again, new apartment, more new furniture, his third set.
Third time lucky. Not quite. Within about a month and a half, the whole charade falls apart again. Her old contacts are back, visiting the new place.
And when he confronts her this time,
she just brushes it off. Mere visits, she says, completely casual about it. But the delusion for Munir, it's finally becoming impossible to maintain.
He's starting to see through it.
He has to be. The skepticism is growing. And that's when Rehab plays her trump card, the weapon he handed her.
The promissory notes.
She threatens him, says if he raises one more objection, voices one more suspicion, she'll use those 400,000 EGP notes to put him in prison.
Checkmate.
She had him cornered. He was now more valuable to her as a source of income she could blackmail than as an actual husband.
And then the final straw. The point of no return.
Yeah. Munir comes home early one day, unexpectedly. Finds Rehab there with a female friend and another man, a young man he doesn't know.
And Rehab's explanation.
Caught off guard, she lies again, claims the man is a relative.
But this time it doesn't smooth things over.
No, it leads to a huge fight. Violent, apparently. And in that chaos, everything crystallizes for both of them. Munir knows, finally, with absolute certainty, she will never change, and Rehab knows he will never, ever let her go back to her old life freely.
The trust, however warped it was, is just shattered, irreversibly.
Gone completely.
So the next morning, Rehab's gone, took her bag, left.
Munir looks for her, maybe half-heartedly, then goes to the police, files a missing person report.
And the police investigation quickly turns up her history, right? The fact she was registered.
There's a prostitute, yeah.
Yeah.
Public morals cases. Which, of course, Munir already knew.
But that history plays right into his hands now, doesn't it? It provides the perfect cover story.
The perfect plausible narrative. The police, everyone would just assume she'd run off again, fled to continue her work somewhere else without him interfering.
So Munir goes back to Kurdasa, back to his old life. Probably relieved, maybe even thinking he's finally free, appreciating his clean life again. The authorities certainly seem to buy the voluntary disappearance angle.
Everyone bought it, until about a month and a half later.
Back to the Maryutiya Canal. The grim reality surfaces.
Forensic medicine pieces it together. The remains belong to one woman, 30s, dead for over a month. The cause of death, multiple stab wounds, chest and back, with a knife.
And then, the dismemberment.
Yes. Chillingly specific, cut into 4 sections, and the tool used, a serrated saw. They also found evidence of an attempt to burn the body parts, but it wasn't complete.
But how did they identify her with the body in that state?
It all came back to that tiny piece of plastic, the technological lifeline. The criminal investigation lab, they did incredible work, managed to pull the data off that water-damaged SIM card found in her shorts.
And the SIM was registered to?
Registered directly to Munir.
The connection is made instantly. His missing person report, the known marital problems now linked to these horrific remains via his own SIM card.
So the police go to arrest him. And when they arrive, there's no fight left in him. No denial.
He confesses.
Immediately, as soon as he sees the officers, admits it all. Rehab didn't disappear. He killed her.
And the motive, it wasn't just passion anymore, was it? It was colder.
Much colder. Dual-sided, really. Part of it was revenge, absolutely. Revenge for the years of being blinded, the betrayal, the assault on his honor as a Saidi man, that deep wound.
But the other part?
Pure calculation. The desire to eliminate that crushing financial threat. Those 400,000 EGP promissory notes he'd signed. Murder was his way out of that trap.
So he details the murder, the sequence of events after that final fight.
He does. The stabbing, repeated blows with the knife. Then, using the saw to dismember the body, trying and failing to burn the pieces before dumping them in the canal.
But the SIM card, the one piece of evidence that brought him down, how did that end up in her pocket? Did he put it there?
No, and that's the final tragic irony here. During that last violent struggle, Rehab must have managed to grab the phone, the one he'd bought for her, take out the SIM, and quickly hide it in her pocket. Maybe a desperate attempt to preserve something, some connection, or maybe just instinct.
And Munir, in his rush to dispose of the body and cover his tracks.
He never noticed it, never checked her pockets, focused only on the disposal, on making her disappear. He built his cover story around her reputation, never realizing the key piece of evidence linking it all back to him was literally traveling with the remains.
Incredible oversight.
Driven by panic, perhaps, but fatal.
And in his confession, did he show any remorse?
None. He admitted relying on her history to make the disappearance believable, and he apparently stated he'd do the same thing again, or worse, if she'd somehow survived. The betrayal, the wounded honor, it consumed everything.
So the trial, the sentence.
Tried and sentenced to death, his obsession, his refusal to see the truth, it didn't just end her life. It ended his own and devastated his original family, all traded for a delusion. Decades of stability, his standing, his honor, gone.
It's just such a brutal story. It shows how deep that refusal to accept reality can go. That devotion, that ish, it demanded blindness, and that blindness led directly to this calculated, savage act of revenge.
He didn't just sacrifice his life for a false love. He sacrificed it for the need to keep believing the lie, even when it was staring him in the face.
The way those elements combined, the financial trap he walked into, the weight of his cultural background and honor, and then that tiny, crucial piece of forensic evidence, the SIM card, they all just converged perfectly to bring about this end.
It's a terrible paradox, isn't it? He chose the comfort, maybe, of that destructive fantasy over the agonizing pain of facing the truth, and when his money and his identity were both used against him, violence felt like the only way out. So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. How much are you willing to overlook? How much of your own reality, your own future, might you be willing to sign away just to keep believing in something or someone that you desperately want to be true, even when all the evidence points the other way?